Beautiful. Welcome, everybody, to the Mount Hope Housing Company Incorporated 8th Annual Legislative Breakfast Ceremony. I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, your #1 source for R&B. You can catch me on each and every night right after the Quiet Storm with Lenny Green. So if you were listening to me last night, I know how you feel. You spent the night with me, but it was good. We're going to hang out some more this morning, but I want to start off with the invocation. So we're going to go to Reverend Abraham Jones from the Bible Church of Christ headquarters. Please give him a big round of applause.
God bless everybody this morning. Let's give God a hand praise for a beautiful day. After last night, may we bow our heads and look to the one that controls the seas. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, oh God. Lord, we thank you that we're able to wake up, oh God, and have the full activity of our limbs, oh God. God, Lord, we thank you, oh God, for this event, oh God, this legislative breakfast, oh God. And Father, we would ask that you would bless the leadership today, oh God, that you might move by your power and your strength, oh God. For your word is declared that without a vision the people perish. And Father, we thank you for the leadership of Mount Hope Housing, oh God, who were visionaries, oh God, who took a dead and dying community, oh God, and has revitalized it, oh God. Father, we ask you to bless all the partners, oh God. Lord, we ask you to bless Dr. Abola Omotosho, oh God, its chairman, oh God. Lord, we ask that you would bless Fritz Jean, oh God, Lord, the executive director, and all the staff, all the partners, Affinity, oh God, Lehman College, oh God. Lord, we lift up this day, oh God, what our eyes will see and what our ears will hear. And we say thank you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, we're in the Bronx. Are we in the Bronx? Is any Bronxites in the house? Am I talking like somebody familiar? Well, thank you so much for coming this morning. It's a pleasure and privilege to stand before you this morning. Well, I would like to liken the history of Mount Hope to the birth of a baby. Mount Hope was conceived a little over a quarter of a century ago by some visionaries, you know. More than 25 years ago, a group of people came together to decide that housing in the Bronx is a very critical component. This morning, over the last 25 years, we've had our ups and downs. However, there are some distinguished individuals here this morning. Let me start by acknowledging the presence of the various elected officials. I cannot see everybody from here, but I know some are sitting right around. But I would like the current and the past board of directors of Mount Hope to please rise. And please step forward. Whenever any company is incorporated, the current and past, please step forward. Can you join me on the podium, please? Whenever a company is incorporated, they tell us that they have their own identity, that is an entity, a life of its own. So I would like to liken the history of Mount Hope to a child that is born, and it takes a village to raise a child. When you talk about a village raising a child, it takes the dedication of board of directors and even the staff of Mount Hope to nurture Mount Hope for the last 25 plus years. I will start by recognizing, not in any particular order, from my immediate right, Radiance Brown. Please raise your hand. one of the founding board of directors of Mount Hope, Susan Chase. Please raise your hand. Thank you. Miss Alice? Alice Stevens, please raise your hand. Thank you. Don Rowe, please raise your hand. Miss Loretta Roderick-Smith. Alicia Anthony. Miss Boyd. Angel Caballero. Well, I'm not done with the introduction. The men and women that are standing before you put in a lot of selfless service to make sure, and they still continue to do the same. Whenever a child is born, we know when there are teenage crises, that's around the age of 14 to 18 and 20. Yes, Mount Hope had his own challenges as a teenager, but they stood firm. And moving forward, this morning, we are celebrating the graduation and restoration of hope. Thank you so much. And my humble self, Dr. Bola Omotosho, I step up to the challenges that faces Mount Hope. And the board of directors about 3-4 years ago afforded me the opportunity to be the chair of this board. It's not been an easy road, but where we are today, we thank God and we give God the glory for everything that is afforded this community in restoring hope. Thank you so much, and I want to thank our partners, HPD, HDC, Enterprise, just to name a few, and all our elected officials who are present here this morning. They've been a very supportive partner to Mount Hope, especially when you talk about a child growing up in a village. There has to be a head to that village. It takes a village to raise a child, and the head of that village is our one and only Honorable Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. I'm not sure he's here at this time, but he will be joining us soon. Thank you all, and this is my welcome address. Thank you.
Give another big round of applause, everybody, Dr. Bola and Atushu, the director of Mount Hope Housing Company. So give this young lady a big round of applause. She is the Senior Vice President of Customer and Community Connections at Affinity Health Plan. Give her a big round of applause. Abina Aboa Afei.
Always good to see you. Always a pleasure. And it certainly is a pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. I want to thank Dr. Omotosho. I'd like to thank Fritz Jean, the Board of Directors of Mount Hope Housing, and all of you who are in attendance this morning. It is a pleasure for Affinity Health Plan to be represented here today. We have a couple of tables here, so I hope that you're able to meet those of us who are here because we really care about this organization. And it's also a pleasure to be underwriting this breakfast for you this morning. And it's a wonderful occasion because we get to celebrate Mount Hope. And actually, we've been working with Mount Hope for at least 13 years. And Mount Hope and Affinity Health Plan grew up in the Bronx together. We were founded around the same time in the late 80s. And we come at Affinity approaches his work in the same way that Mount Hope does. We also believe that we are an advocate who is in action for the people of the Bronx. So we share that sensibility with you. We too believe that access to safe housing, access to jobs that will provide you a living that can put food on the table and keep that housing over your head is vital for the development of a community. And we also believe that having access to care is vital to the health of a family and a community. So those are the things that we have in common. And it's so important that organizations like Mount Hope exist, because they really are the standard bearers for the work that needs to be done for the communities that we care about. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I just want you to know that we're related. Fritz, it's been a pleasure knowing your organization for the period of time that we have, and we hope only that the intimacy and the closeness of our relationship continues to grow over the years. There's one other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention if you are not already aware. And this is not directly related, but indirectly related to the health of the people that we all care about in this room. And that is, as of October 1, healthcare reform will be real for all of us all over the country. And I'm not mentioning this because I'm trying to pitch my health plan. That's not the point of this conversation. Do it. The point of this conversation is that as of October 1, there are many people who did not have access to health insurance prior to October 1 who will have access to it then. However, the system with which they will be asked to navigate will be different than any other system one has been asked to navigate to access health coverage before, and we are all going to need help to translate that for the people who really need it. The people who are just above the poverty line, just above Medicaid, who don't speak English or Spanish as their first or second language, who maybe are new immigrants to this country, are maybe low literacy, are maybe working class, who don't have time for education because they're too busy putting food in the mouths of their children. It's those people who are going to need our assistance in order to get access to the care that they'll need so they can keep their job, so that their kids can go to school and get a better education than maybe they had. So I'm saying this to say that we would love to be able to partner with those of you in the room to get that word out. It's simply about educating people about how they can help their lives improve by taking care of how they feel and ensuring that they're around long enough so that their children can see them and their grandchildren can see them. You all understand what I'm saying? All right, so I want you to pay attention because shortly you're going to be inundated with a lot of messages about healthcare reform, about the health insurance exchange in New York. There might be some elected officials in the room today who've helped put New York's exchange together from a policy level. You should be thanked and recognized for that. But having said that, there's a lot of work on the ground that will need to be done in order to bring communities together to help themselves get access to what they deserve, which is access to the best health care that this country has to provide right here in New York City. And the health insurance exchange and healthcare reform can help that, but we have to be able to do it right. We have to be able to do it right. So I think that's an agenda for us. And Affinity would love to work with you and provide education right along with you if you're interested in that. So I'm going to close now by once again thanking Mount Hope. This is a wonderful gathering. Every time you're able to do it, we are happy to be here because we understand how important this group of people are to the health and vitality in the Mount Hope community. Thank you for having us. Thank you for a few minutes to address you today, and I wish you a good morning.
All right, this next person is a beautiful person, and she's affectionately known as Mom. That's right. And if you call her Mom, you get some more done, because Mom just melts when somebody does that. Give her a big round of applause, everybody. She's from BethX Federal Credit Union, Joy Kuzman.
I'm really delighted to be here, and I came because I was invited, obviously, but I'm enjoying being here partly because I love Mount Hope. I love the people who work for Mount Hope, and we are partners in every sense of the word. And also, I want to introduce BethX and just tell you a little bit about it. Will all my people stand up? Thank you. BethX Credit Union is 43 years old. and it's been in the Bronx all that time. And I know a lot of you know about us because you send us people who need loans. And I want to thank the banks that send us loans. I want to thank BOADC. I want to thank SOBRO. I want to thank SBDC. All those organizations send us people who need loans. And I want to encourage those of you who have not sent us any loans. We rarely say no. And Mom is usually reserved for the older members. I don't mean older in age, longer with us. But everybody is welcome to use the term. When you get to be my age, you feel like Mom. So anyway, I also want to thank you for being here, because if we were not all partners, I don't think we would get where we got. And I'll tell you just an interesting story. I find it interesting to show the change in the Mount Hope area, which comes from the help that they receive from all the supporters, legislative and otherwise. And that is, there was a time when you could not get a newspaper in the Mount Hope area. I once sent someone walking, a federal examiner who didn't believe me, and he walked for almost a mile in all directions and could not get a newspaper. To me, as a former school teacher, that definitely shows an upgrade in the community, in the education going on here, and in the general upgrade in the stores that are around here. So with that little anecdote, I will say thank you again for being here and supporting Mount Hope, supporting Beth X, and I hope to see you all again next year, and I promise not to get any older.
Because of mine, give Mom a big round of applause, everybody. Let her hear you, let her feel you. From the Beth X Federal Credit Union. Next, I would like to introduce you to a young man I met. We sat and had meetings, and he's into economic development, a whole lot of wonderful things in our community. He's done a great job at turning things around. Give him a big round of applause. He's the Executive Director of Mount Hope Housing Company, Incorporated, Fritz G.
Good morning. Okay, to God be the glory.
Yes, indeed.
And may the Lord God bless everyone's path here today as you proceed from this occasion and to your life. Wow. I've been associated with Mount Hope in one capacity or the other for about 16 years. Went from evicting tenants to helping the organization close loans, to revamping management, to even joining the board of directors. And 3 years ago or so, Mount Hope encountered a little difficulty. And most of you who are familiar with the organization know how difficult it was. It was a time to fight. It was a time of struggle. It wasn't the most beautiful time for Mount Hope. I had the occasion of meeting a very dynamic woman. Her snow white hair is like the angel's halo in any particular room, in any crowd. And she reminded me of something. She said, well, Mount Hope was born out of struggle. Had it not been for struggle, there would be no Mount Hope. So whatever it is that you encounter, it's part of being Mount Hope. Sometimes the battlefront changes. so too must the strategy. So there was a time when Mount Hope had to give away quite a bit and approach it from a not-for-profit point of view. And this dynamic woman with the snow white hair said, Fritz, maybe now you have to start thinking on a for-profit model. And with that said, we came to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? There is profit in being not-for-profit. In case you guys have not figured out who this dynamic woman is our deputy borough president. It's strange because sometimes you can say something in passing to someone and it's just passing words, but you never know how much it resonates with that individual as they achieve or tackle the things that they must tackle. Those simple words reminded me of our board of directors, reminded me of a Radiance Brown, a woman who grew up in the Bronx, and if you ever step foot on her Morris Avenue block and drop a piece of paper on the floor, she has a machete right outside her front door, and she will let you know. I think all the police officers know her. They don't bother her. She has confronted drug dealers, prostitutes, Johns, and so forth. She is the fighting spirit. It reminds me of Loretta Smith, who reminds us that, hey, you know what? In addition to the fight, a little prayer doesn't hurt, okay? In fact, start the prayer first, and then go to fight, okay? Because you're not here by incident, okay? And the list goes on and on. And as Dr. Bowler introduced our board of directors, it kind of reminded me of my growing up. I was raised by my grandmother. She had 6 daughters and 1 son. I'm tearing because I remember each one of those daughters had the authority to whip my butt. And I learned at an early age, listen, do the right thing, and dodge the switch. Lucky for me, I had an older brother who caught the brunt of it, but I was able to learn from his pain. So I learned how to tell the truth, I learned how to do the right thing, and I learned how to navigate. So being at Mount Hope, when I'm stuck between 9 of our board members, one is a fighter with a machete, the other one armed with a Bible, and we have a couple I'm afraid to describe at this point. So I learned to do what I have to do. Okay, the Bronx has come a long way, a very long way. And those of you who are students of the Bronx, you see the pictures, and it's almost imaginable, the devastation that the Bronx encountered. Almost unimaginable. But there was a turn. And if we look at the Bronx today, we see a lot of development. And a good portion of that development, that turnaround, has to do with the work of some of the people we're going to honor today. And visionary work, great work. Individuals who learn how to find the best from the least. Individuals who have option to build other places, but they stay put in the Bronx. Individuals like a Peter Magistro, individuals like a Jim Buckley, and the list goes on. These are individuals who take their knowledge and bring it back here to benefit the Bronx. The true benefit is really the draw line of the new battleground. And as we build, again, the battlefront has shifted. We will build, we will grow, we will develop beautiful buildings. But the battlefront now has shifted to the youth. Are we losing them? Are we ingenious enough to attract them? Can we capture them? Can we save them in time before the other forces pull them? When we encounter them, is it too late? So those are the challenges as we forge to a new quarter century that we have to look forward to. And the strange thing is this. It may seem we're looking to save the youth, but in saving the youth, we really save ourselves. Because the reality is this, the youth will survive one way or the other. If we do not invest in the youth, they will find a way to survive. It may be to our detriment, but they will survive. That's a fact. Every single revolution that has ever occurred was triggered by the youth. So when we have the ability to know how, when we can capture, this is the time to capture. This is the time to offer the programs. This is the time to say, hey, instead of 100% profit, let me settle for 75% profit. Let me provide an opportunity for the youth, as some of our people are doing today that we're honoring. So our approach, as we pointed out, as the MC pointed out, is one of economic development. The world is changing fast, and our youth has a lot of competition coming from outside the Bronx, coming from outside the country. Making a dollar is not the attraction, okay, that it was. Okay, the competition is vast. Across the world, our kids are getting their butts, excuse my language, kicked in mathematics, science, and we're falling far behind. Right now, we have the opportunity to at least plant the seed. Right now, we're charged with having a vision to make sure that the 10, 11, 12, 6-year-old can compete when we get to 21, 22, 23. So the battleground has changed. While the buildings look beautiful as we speak, inside the buildings, we want to make sure that we elevate the inside, the interior, the individuals in that building, the families. And that's why we focus also on economic development. We focus on GED. We focus on career readiness. We focus on athletics as an alternative to the street. These are the things that we must do. I'm pausing so that we can really think about it and to realize the importance of it. But as we move on with the program, we want to recognize some of the individuals who have laid these foundations for us. Okay. Thank you, Abby. I know you spoke to us already. We would like to thank Affinity for forever being there present to help Mount Hope out, forever being present in the community, and your willingness to help out, and your ability to see, even in the least of us, the ability to grow and our ability to reach the community. Thank you, if you can.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Fritz. And Affinity, as my leader here has said, that we have been in the community for many years helping Mount Hope. So I just want to explain, since Fritz, when I listened to what you said about tell the truth, I'm going to tell you what just happened, okay? Some of you have worked with us, know that we had our CEO, Maura Bluestone, who's been with us for 30 years. And she retired and went on to bigger and best things, and in good health, she retired. So when I was asked, they wanted to honor Maura, and I said, you know, we have a new CEO now. His name is Bertram Scott, that some of you will get to meet. Great guy. So we didn't really think it was really appropriate to have Maura Bluestone's picture up here. So that's what's really happened. So I'm telling the truth, okay? But we really, really appreciate Mount Hope recognizing us, and we are going to be here for a long time to come. So like Abby said, we're going to work with you with our health reform. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person we would like to recognize has been a source of knowledge for me, particularly in the affordable housing market and in the market where it involves human services. This gentleman has been associated with the Bronx for I don't know how long. When I look at old films of the Northwest Bronx Community Clergy Coalition, I see pictures of him with an afro, not as gray, but still protesting, marching, and planting the seeds for the Bronx to turn around the way it has. We would like to take this opportunity to see a video of Jim Buckley, who is the Executive Director of Neighborhood Housing Program. And if you can just run it for a minute, it gives you an idea who he is.
Since 1989, Jim Buckley has served as the Executive Director of University Neighborhood Housing Program, UNHP, a nonprofit Bronx-based community organization. UNHP's mission is to create and preserve affordable housing. To accomplish that goal, UNHP administers a loan fund, provides technical assistance and training to community organizations and tenant associations operating affordable housing. The organization also develops affordable housing, researches issues affecting such housing, and operates a research center to help individuals with various financial issues. UNHP's Building Indicator Project, BIP, is a result of some of that research. The BIP has developed into a tool used by the city, community organizations, banks, and regulators in housing preservation efforts. In the summer of 2012, UNHP opened the Northwest Bronx Resource Center, which provides financial assistance and education to tenants and homeowners through an income tax preparation program, foreclosure prevention counseling, financial coaching, and financial education. The center recently expanded its service to begin a first-time home buyers program. Prior to his work at UNHP, Jim worked for the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition. Upon graduating from Fordham University, Jim began working with the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition as a community organizer. He concluded his service with the group in 1989 after serving as its director for the coalition's reinvestment program. As Mr. Buckley cannot be with us today, on behalf of Jim Buckley, Jim Mitchell will receive this award. Please help us in welcoming Mr. Jim Mitchell.
It's indeed a privilege to accept this on behalf of Jim, who is traveling with his family today. Jim has been involved in area, collaborating with all of you for more than 35 years. Together we congratulate Mount Hope on the great work and projects. We look forward to continuing to partner with you in future projects, and thank you very, very much to the people of Mount Hope.
The next honoree is truly a blessing to the Bronx. On a personal note, he is a blessing to Mount Hope. We had the opportunity to work with him during a period of time that was extremely difficult for Mount Hope. And because he's a blessing to our area, because he's a blessing to the Bronx, I'm going to have one of my board members, Ms. Loretta Smith, come up and help me introduce this gentleman.
On behalf of the Mount Hope Housing Company, I would like to ask Mr. Peter Magistro to come forward, please.
Peter Magistro, the president and founder of Bronx Pro Real Estate Management, holds a master's degree in finance from Fordham University. Peter began his real estate career in 1972, buying properties in the Bronx and Long Island while pursuing a career at Citibank. After retaining the title of vice president at Citibank, Peter decided to pursue real estate as a full-time job, and in 1988 he began Bronx Pro Real Estate Management, Inc. Bronx Pro is a neighborhood-based firm engaged in real estate development, construction oversight, property management, and residential services. The company's mission is to create quality, affordable housing that is energy efficient and respectful to the needs of its residents and the environment. The firm accomplishes this task by partnering with New York City's housing agencies and by placing a premium on skilled staff, new technologies, building safety, and aesthetically pleasing design. Since 1998, Mr. Magistro has successfully developed over 1,500 units of middle and low-income housing, totaling $250 million in development costs. Currently, the company holds approximately $75 million in pre-development projects. Mr. Magistro is also active in community affairs, sponsoring the education of children and partnering with homeless prevention agencies. In addition, he is a member of the 197A Housing Committee of Bronx Community Board 5, serves on the Enterprise New York Advisory Board, and is a 7A administrator. May we introduce Peter Magistro.
Mr. Magistro, on behalf of the Mount Hope Housing Company, it's an honor and a pleasure to present this to you. You know, I call him St. Peter. I don't know if he knows it, but I call him St. Peter because he's been a blessing to our community. He has helped to build the house, put the people in it, and also he's sensitive to their quality of life. And that's important when you're sensitive to the quality of life in your community. And he likes beauty. All his buildings have plants and trees. He's close to nature. He's blessed and highly favored. And we thank God for having him in our community. God bless you and keep you.
Thank you, Fritz. Thank you, Mount Hope. Those that know me know I'm shy, so. I think when you talk about housing, I think Fritz hit it before, it's more than just housing, it's community. And my vision, which is, I could say is really not my vision, I was given the roadmap and I ran with it. HPD really is the visionary. So we just took advantage of it. And our idea is to continue to build not only housing, but to build communities. And we do that with our partnerships with folks like Mount Hope and other nonprofits who are direct partners or indirect partners. And with them, we can build communities that are just not housing. Going back to what Dr. Bola said, villages. And Mount Hope is a leader in the village. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we go to the next honoree, I'd like to recognize a few people. Definitely those individuals who made this function possible, and also the group that always beats up on me, which is my senior staff. This is a hard-working group, a highly educated group, and they are not, you know, when the board said that I was going to be the ED, I thought I can walk in and tell people what to do. It's quite the contrary. I sit down in a senior staff meeting and I think I'm chairing the meeting, but I have a group of people that tell me what to do. And they know what they're doing. So I can't really shuck and jive. I gotta perform. And I'd like to introduce a couple of people. The first being Miss Estelle Fonseca. Estelle has been in the education field for some time. I'll let her tell you the years. She's very educated, very well known in youth services and youth education. Ms. Estelle, if you can stand up. Okay. Next person is Ms. Brenda Jones. Ms. Brenda Jones is an economic development guru. She's a certified financial counselor. It's not uncommon to see her on Saturdays, Sundays, meeting with different groups, foreclosure prevention. She runs our entire Economic Development University, which is a catchphrase that we have to help people with credit. We help people with naturalization and immigration issues, help people with financial planning. And all those we recognize as tools to help people succeed economically. Ms. Brenda, if you could just wave. The next individual is Mr. Wilbur T. Lorton. T, as we call him, is a unique individual. He's in charge of our development. He's the co-chair of the committee that brought this function together. He's just T. One thing about T. Lorton and, that I really admire, T is perhaps one of the most honest individuals I've ever met in my life. If you don't look good, he'll tell you you don't look good in a nice way, but he will not lie to you. He's very well respected by just about every single elected official that knows him. They know him on a personal level, as well as in his position as a district leader. He does not let a title get to his head. You can always reach T. If you ever need help, you can reach T. And he will take your cause as if it's the cause of his own children, his own family. I've seen T help tenants, anyone that he just met on the street that can approach him. And he will take it, walk up, Fritz, we have to help this individual. T, do they have money? We can't put them into the apartments. But T, you have to do something, Fritz. T, do they have money? There's programs. And so we go back and forth. His heart is in the right place. Every now and then I try to tame it, you know, but we would not trade it for anything. And another person we like to recommend, definitely I gotta announce is, and I'm gonna ask him to join us, is Mr. Raul Isaac. Raul is a unique individual. Raul and I were on the board together, and at the time that Mount Hope was going through what it was going through, and I said, Raul, you know what has to happen? We have to go in there and work. And Raul said, okay, I'm for it. I said, but Raul, we have to work for about 6 or 9 months for no pay. He looked at me, what are you talking about? But after a little conversation, Raul said, you know what? Let's step in, but I don't know anything about management. I said, Raul, on the management end, I got you. Can you go over the financial statements? Can you go over the numbers? He said, I got the numbers down pat. And we made a pact from that point on. Raul stepped in from January 09 through July 09 and volunteered so that we can put the work that we had to put Mount Hope back on the map. And I owe everything to Raul and his ability to stay there and his ability to make the work fun. You know, sometimes the work is not the challenge, it's really who you're with as you go through it. He had a couple of offers from banks. I can probably let him know that now. A couple of people called, they wanted to hire him. I still have the letters. Never quite turned them over to you, Raul. I think it's a safe time for me to let you know. Okay, so the other person is Ms. Veronica Kanai. If Veronica Kanai, hey Veronica. Veronica is a gem to the organization. Part of the struggles we went through were some allegations in terms of funds. Veronica is the one person that I can say has accounted for every single penny that ever entered or left the organization. Part and parcel of navigating through the situation we navigated through was her ability to definitely account for the sums that entered the organization and exactly where it went, to what projects, to what programs. So Veronica, I want to thank you, a great deal. And I think next to you is Fareen Ali, who's the director of our HR. And there's one more board member I'd like to recognize. She's also the co-chair, if not the chair, of this event. And even though she was recognized as one of our directors, we look at her as a staff because she's forever in the office working with us. She always thought I was a nice guy until she saw me screaming at some staff. And I don't know if her image of me has changed since. So Dawn, if you can step up, and I want to thank you for pulling this event together. Okay. So round of applause. Okay, the next honoree, Mr. Isaac. I need Raw to help me bring this gentleman up. He had the opportunity to work with HPD. HPD is one of our main partners, and working with the key individuals there, Anne Marie, and even though he's not with HPD, Mark Yard, they came to believe in this organization, particularly for the work that we were doing, and they took a step forward when pretty much quite a bit of people were taking a step backwards. Through a lot of fights, pros and cons, we sort of met on a common line, and together with HPD, we're able to slowly turn the tides and put Mount Hope back on the map where it should be. Because of HPD's involvement, right now we pause to actually do our tax credit deals, to reposition our tax credits. We also have some vacant lots that we're looking to build upon to consolidate the TIL projects. And we look to 2014, 2015 as being a very bright time for Mount Hope. So with Mr. Isaac, strange story before I go forward. With HPD, it wasn't always that nice. And the reality is, we were taking our positions, our respective positions, and I remember meeting, even after the bar president and deputy intervened, we're gonna fight these guys. We have to fight them. Fritz, you sure you wanna fight them? I said, look, something is not right in there. This is a great organization. And we took our posture, and I remember being in a meeting with Anne Marie, and Roll Isaac said, look, we built Mount Hope brick by brick. You're going to take it away from us brick by brick. Anne Marie said, well, you got our lawyers. And Roll said, well, we got our lawyer too. But it's funny, you can laugh at situations in retrospect. But back then, what I did not realize were individuals at a table who really cared about the organization. Perhaps we disagreed on how to save the organization, and sometimes that can pull you apart. But I think after the dust settled, we're able to forge some solid relationships and put the organization in the right track. So with the next honoree, I'll have to have Ross step up and help me introduce this individual.
Good morning, everyone. All right, that's a good morning. Those fights that Fritz talk about with HPD, they are beneficial. I just want you to know that. They are our friends. And I'm here for one purpose, and that is to introduce the next honoree. Now, before I do that, there are some people that move the engine behind that honoree. So I want to give a shout out to those people. My friend, my dearest friend, since I was at Citibank, Anne Marie. Chris here. I want to give a shout out to Chris. Hey, Chris. I want to give a shout out to Sarah. Is she here? Okay, she's not here, but give her my shout out, please. These are the guys that engage and employ the vision of the next honoree. They guide us. I mean, they really guide us. I would be remiss if I do not mention Mark. Mark and I worked together at Citibank for years, and at one point when we met, he said to me, Raw, I don't want to have a train wreck. I said, well, I know someone you can talk to. His name is Frisbee. And so Mark and Frisbee became close, and they talked about the Giants, and then they talked about Marco. And
the Jets and the Jets.
Well, the Giants and the Jets. Mark and I are a Giants fan, by the way, you're a Jets fan. And so Mount Hope today, because of HPD, the greatest affordable housing in the city, and HPD, we're here today with your help. We're able to build this company brick by brick. That's my favorite word. I love it. Now we're chiseling ahead, chiseling the bricks away. And we're here today. We're here to stay. Mount Hope is back. I want to say that the world is secure and the nation of Mount Hope is all intact. Thank God. The next honoree, I love this guy named Matthew. I love the name Matthew. You know, when I first heard that he's going to be the commissioner of HPD selected by the mayor, you know, I was blessed with daughters, and somehow I was blessed with a son, who's about to be 2 years old. So I decided to name him Matthew. And so his name is Matthew, and I'm a Bible reader sometimes, but now I focus on Matthew. And I found out Matthew was a tax collector. So I looked at my little boy, he was about 9 months old. I said, well, son, you're going to be the tax collector, and that's a good thing. So, Matthew, we are going to turn to a video to show you about Matthew, what he's done. You know, I cannot do it, the video will explain it. But thank you, Matthew, for what you have done for us.
Matthew M. Wambua was appointed Commissioner of the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, by New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg in late March 2011. With a workforce of more than 2,000 employees and an annual budget of approximately $1 billion, HPD is the nation's largest municipal housing agency, in charge of the development and preservation of affordable housing and the enforcement of the city's housing maintenance code. As the agency responsible for carrying out the mayor's new housing marketplace plan to finance the creation or preservation of 165,000 units of housing affordable to low, moderate, and middle-income New Yorkers by the close of the 2014 fiscal year, HPD works with for-profit and non-for-profit developers, government partners, financial institutions, advocates, and community groups to develop and preserve roughly 15,000 housing units annually. HPD also manages the fourth largest Section 8 rent voucher program. Mr. Wambua earned a BA from the University of California at Berkeley and a master's in public policy from Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. He also taught real estate finance at NYU's Graduate School of Public Service and managerial economics at the New School's Graduate School of Public Policy. Mr. Wambua lives in the Bronx with his wife and 2 children. May we introduce you to Commissioner Matthew M. Wambua.
So I just have to thank Mount Hope. I've got to thank Mount Hope for recognizing HPD and HDC with the Visionary Award. I know my name is on it, but the fact is this is an award for HPD and HDC. This is an acknowledgement that means a lot to us. And it means a lot to us because of the fact that, as I've often said, nothing happens without partnership. And a lot of the time, our partners, given the both productive as well as tense relationships that we could have, I'm not as wonderfully gracious in acknowledging that partnership. You guys have been spectacular partners, and but for our partnership with you, we wouldn't have been able over the course of the last 2 decades to invest in the kind of economic revitalization that we've been able to invest in the Mount Hope area. And it is because of Mount Hope, it is because of local leadership, it's because of local vision. That's what allows us to do what we do. We don't do it without those 2 things. And we are truly grateful to Fritz, to Raul, to the good doctor, to all the folks at Mount Hope This has been an unbelievably rewarding relationship, one that has been historically rewarding and one that we know will continue for the long term in terms of benefiting the community as well as the city more broadly. Of course, our collective work is not done. There's more to be done. There is ongoing investment in the Mount Hope community. There's ongoing investment in the existing Mount Hope portfolio, and we're looking to meeting those challenges. We're going to meet them the way we have historically, in partnership and together. And we are so appreciative for the roles that you specifically have played in ensuring Mount Hope's future, and ensuring its integrity, and ensuring that it is the asset that it has always been, and that it will survive to be an incredible asset for all of New York and for the local community. And then the last two shout outs that I've got to give out. I've got to give a shout out to Anne Marie Hendrickson and to Mark Yar. Not only are they, not only are they my friends, my partners, my colleagues, but through it all, through thick and thin, what you guys don't see, what you see is Anne Marie laying down the hammer. What you see is Mark coming in, with a fiery negotiating disposition. What you don't see is those are the two folks that behind the scenes have never, ever lost hope in Mount Hope, have always known that Mount Hope is an asset and a partner that needs to be protected, needs to be bolstered, needs to be cultivated, and that we have to support. So thank you for that.
Commissioner, we have this for you. Commissioner, please, guys, give them their hands.
The next honoree is to extremely dynamic young leader. You know, it's very difficult sometimes to describe traits of a leader. You know, sometimes people think a leader is a person that's in your face, telling you what to do. But oftentimes, the effective leader is the person who knows how to subtly push their influence and their power and cautiously guide the individuals who follow that leader into the right direction. Ruben Diaz, when I first came to Mount Hope, I had the opportunity just to see him from afar. Never had the opportunity to actually meet him. But in a couple of meetings with him, particularly when he timely intervened to help Mount Hope, it was not forceful leadership. It was not do it this way, I have a solution. It was a subtle push in the right direction, a subtle pointing with the right partnership. Never once did he show any force, but his ingenuity in pulling individuals together and the partners together, and having HPD even sit at a table to discuss the fate and the future of Mount Hope. He made it clear that Mount Hope is a Fortune 500 company in the Bronx, and not under his watch. Even though he went on the limb and said not under his watch, he was able to back away sometimes to allow things to develop and cautiously watch it. You know, sometimes they say an effective leader is a person who does not tell you how to do it, but tells you what he or she would like to see done. And then step back and see your own ingenuity come up to deliver the goal. Ruben has a bright future. I look to see Ruben as perhaps a candidate for President of the United States of America. okay? On a personal note, whenever you go through strife, sometimes people bicker on differences of opinion. Ruben was always the bigger person. He has called me personally on the phone to assure me if I need him, he's there. Without him, I don't know where we have been. He's definitely the constant push and the constant present that made Mount Hope survive what it encountered. Without saying any further, I would like to run the video of Ruben so we can present the award.
Elected Bronx Borough President in a special election on April 21, 2009, Ruben Diaz Jr. previously served in the New York State Assembly since 1997, representing the 85th Assembly District. Throughout his 7 terms in the state legislature, Ruben Diaz Jr. was a champion for working families in the Bronx. He demonstrated a passion for constituent service, social advocacy, and community empowerment, balanced with support for sensible green economic development and job creation programs. He sponsored and secured passage of important and innovative laws to address the consequences of the intolerable levels of asthma in the South Bronx, healthcare insurance fraud, and quality of life concerns. Bronx Borough President Diaz has proved himself to be a fearless and tireless advocate for justice and equality for all. A staunch defender of the environment, he is a leading voice against environmental racism and injustice, and helped to lead the fight to restore the Bronx River. In the State Assembly, Ruben Diaz Jr. served as chair of the Committee on Election Law and the Assembly's Standing Committees on Education, Ways and Means, Children and Families, Environment Conservatism, and Transportation. In addition, Diaz hosted the borough's first ever Economic Summit in coordination with the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, which brought together business, community, and not-for-profit leaders from across the Bronx and the region to discuss the economic goals of the borough. A lifelong resident of the Bronx, Borough President Diaz lives in the Southeast Bronx with his wife Hilda Irena Diaz and their 2 sons, Ruben Diaz III and Ryan Isaiah Diaz. He graduated from Lehman College, City University of New York with a bachelor's degree in political theory. May we now welcome our Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr.
Good morning, everyone. You know, Fritz never ceases to amaze me because he does things in a quiet way, and he never makes a big to-do over what he's doing, but he gets the job done. So before I even accept the award on behalf of the borough president, I want to personally not only applaud you, shake your hand, kiss you, and wish you all of God's blessings, because you did it. You did it. And we didn't see how back then, but you did it. I'm here this morning on behalf of Ruben Diaz Jr., who I really wish could have been here, but unfortunately he's not able to be here today. But when I get back to the office, I'm going to give him a call and let him know all that he missed. This organization was very near and dear to me personally because I knew its history. And I knew the board members, I knew the former directors. And I realized that when they were in trouble, we had to come to their aid. And the borough president said, no problem. We were very concerned about other housing organizations that had folded and had been replaced by companies from downtown. And we're saying, oh no, you can't do this. You've got to save Mount Hope. We've got to save Mount Hope. And together we will do it. I remember Wilhelm going down to all the meetings and coming back and giving us a report and how bad it looked at times. But we came up with Peter Magistro. And between the two of you, you worked out everything and you made the progress. You started making the progress back. We are so very proud of you because you accomplished what you were supposed to accomplish. And God has blessed this agency and blessed our community because of the commitment of this agency. So on behalf of Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., I received this award and just tell you to keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work because you are vitally needed in our community. Congratulations. Oh, okay.
One more person. I think Mr. Ruben Diaz concludes our list of honorees. I'd like to recognize Senator Gustavo Rivera, state senator, that's also in the room. And we have one more special award that is not on the program. I would like to ask also our Senator Vanessa Gibson. Assemblywoman. Thinking ahead. Assemblywoman Vanessa Gibson. My apologies, Vanessa. If you can join us in doing this surprise presentation.
Sounds like you're running for something.
You gave me a promotion.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful occasion of the annual legislative breakfast hosted by Mount Hope Housing Company. I am so delighted to be here with each and every one of you, and I truly want to echo the sentiments of so many that have spoken about the true vision of Mount Hope, the commitment, the investment, the dedication, and everything that Mount Hope has done over the years to revitalize and rebuild our wonderful and beloved borough of the Bronx. I congratulate you, Fritz Jean, and all of the board members, our board chair, Dr. Bola Omotosho, and all of the wonderful members at Mount Hope, all of my friends. Thank you. Thank you for standing through the test of time. Thank you for staying in the trenches and recognizing that you are valuable in our community. And although you had your trials, your tribulations, your hurdles, and your challenges, but through the grace of God, you made it. And we are here to celebrate that occasion. I want to thank all of the partners and our honorees, my good friend Commissioner Wambua and Peter Magistro, and to UNH and all of our housing partners and our financial partners. Thank you for helping Mount Hope. Thank you for walking through the journey with them to serve the best interests of Bronx residents and families. So we are so delighted, and we know that this is our continued affirmation of our commitment as leaders, as educators, as partners in the community. We are going to continue to build the Bronx together, brick by brick. Amen. And so I have a special responsibility this morning, and it is to present an award, a surprise award, and this individual does not know. For those of you that know, I have had the privilege of serving in the New York State Assembly for 4 years. I was elected in a special election in June of 2009, and it's all through the grace of God that I am here. In addition, I had a couple of mentors who schooled me, who opened doors of opportunity for me. And this one individual was someone who not only believed in me, but gave me an opportunity, saw what I didn't see in myself, and allowed me to assume a role of leadership. And for that, I am truly grateful for this individual, for all of the work that she has done in this community, from being an educator, a parent leader, or the school board. Her lifetime of legacy continues to live on in our community. And so, Mount Hope, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present an award this morning to the wonderful, to the esteemed Deputy Borough President, the Honorable Aurelia Green. Surprise! Surprise! Of Mount Hope Housing Company and the entire team, we thank you so much for your lifetime commitment. Thank you for never giving up on the Bronx. Thank you for always being a true advocate of the people, because you are from the people. You know the struggles, you have lived through the struggles, and you know what it means to be blessed and highly favored. God bless you for your work, and thank you so much for being a great partner to Mount Hope.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I had no clue, no idea. I see so many people in the audience that I want to just hug and say hi to, because I love you, and just like I love this borough, it's my home, it's always been my home, so I've got a special place in my heart for it. And everyone who lives here, if you know me, you know that I'm a very warm and energetic young woman with white hair. But I was really caught off guard with this. Thank you, Mount Hope. May you live forever, because you are truly the gem of this borough. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. Wow.
Congratulations.
Okay, please, if you can welcome T. Lorton, next order of the event.
Good morning. I want to recognize our elected officials. I know you have a busy schedule. I want to first announce Bob Johnson, our Bronx attorney. We're going to move this along very fast. Okay, we're going to move this very fast. I know a lot of you have other meetings and other engagements.
Good morning. I'm going to be brief. I want to congratulate all of the honorees, especially Deputy. I'm going to start with you, Deputy Borough President Aurelia Green, who was 25 years ago this week when I announced my candidacy for DA, the very first person to go and grab a batch of petitions and say I'm supporting that young man who didn't have white hair either. I want to congratulate the Borough President, Commissioner Wambua, Bronx Co, Realty, Affinity, and UNHP, and in particular Mount Hope for standing true to the cause of representing the people of Mount Hope. I'm going to make a confession. For the last 24 and a half years, I've been district attorney, but I've been moonlighting. My other title has been cheerleader for the Bronx. Every opportunity I've had, anybody who's come to the Bronx from any city in this country, from any foreign land, to see what we do and think they're studying an urban laboratory of failure, I have pointed out to them where we have been and where we are now. And it's stories like Mount Hope that illustrate the point, and I'm so grateful for it because every bit of it makes my job so much easier. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Our next guest is the wife of our candidate for Mayor Bill Thompson, Ellie McKay. Give a round of applause.
Unlike that one who I can't jump up on stage. I'm a little bit older than he is. I just wanted to bring greetings from Bill Thompson, my husband, and congratulate Fritz Jean and T, and my fellow Bronxites, my favorite borough, Deputy Borough President, Aurelia, and our Bronx DA. Thank you. Bill grew up in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. I grew up in Crown Heights. Our family struggled over generations to get enough money to own our own homes. It's a struggle that we know many in the Bronx, many in the city are going through. It's something that's important to us personally, and it's important to the city and its future. Organizations like Mount Hope help make that possible. So I wanted to offer, I know we're concluding the program, I wanted to offer his congratulations to Mount Hope and to everyone who helps make that struggle a reality. Thank you.
Okay, we have a representative from our majority leader in the city council, Albert Alvarez from Joel Rivera's office.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I had the privilege about 25 years ago to meet a man who's standing next to me. T has always been someone who has been out in the community, who has been working for our children, working for the better of our neighborhood. And now I have the privilege for the last 12 years to be the chief of staff to Councilman Rivera. But it's a bittersweet moment because I remember some of our former legislative breakfasts, and this is one of the final ones, for now. But I wanted to come here and present this proclamation from the City of New York on behalf of the Office of the Majority Leader to T. We all know the work T does. We all know the great work that Mount Hope does, but it's about its people. And T has always put forward the best that he can on a daily basis for Mount Hope and the community. And T, as someone who considers you my friend, as someone who leans on you at times for a little guidance, thank you, God bless you, and God bless Mount Hope.
Thank you, Joel Rivera, majority leader of the city council. I'm very excited and honored. And the next guest, I have to keep moving. We have Jim Fairbanks from Councilwoman Wendell Foster, Helen Foster.
I guess I can welcome everyone on behalf of the university because my son graduated here a couple of weeks ago.
from the music department, so if you can't get this distinguished artist, he can provide background music as well. So, you know, I love my son, so I have to say that. On behalf of City Councilwoman Helen Diane Foster, would like to announce that she placed in the budget a couple of days ago, they got home at 4 o'clock in the morning, $1 million for the Davidson Playground. Ms. Reddick Smith, Mr. Williams, a whole lot of people kept saying, we don't have a playground, a place for our children and our youth on that block. And so if you're going to develop housing, you've got to develop the whole person. As Peter knows, who now has many buildings on that block. So the Parks Department has $1 million. We're community activists. We know that if it's ever going to be done, we've got to push the Parks Department to do it. And just finally, anyone who knows the history of the South Bronx knows that there are only two things left. There was the Housing Authority, and there was the creation of the nonprofit community housing developers. That's what we built the South Bronx. God bless.
Our next guest is from the mayor's office, Nevada Lopez.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be very, very brief. I want to congratulate all our honorees, especially Commissioner Wambua, the Deputy Borough President. You know, organizations like Mount Hope have done a tremendous amount to bring back the Bronx. You know, I know I look really young, but I do remember what our Bronx looked like 30 years ago, and I've come a long way. And I want to congratulate Mount Hope. I want to congratulate the team. Put in a wonderful breakfast. And you know, on behalf of the mayor, I want to sort of again congratulate everybody and thank you very much. Have a good day.
I also want to recognize my co-leader who's here, Cynthia Cox. Please stand. Diane Serino, the representative today, former state committee woman. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out in support of Mount Hope. Thank you very much.
The inspiration that I drew from him made me to step up, apply to join the board, and I want to thank the board for doing the right thing. Put aside the bylaws, because the bylaws say you should be 2 years on board before you can become the president of the board chair. Put it aside, and I was voted in as the chair. We bumped heads. Because he's a fighter, and by my training, I'm a physician, and at the same time, I've been in the military. I know what it is when you fight and you lose. You probably won't come back. Over the years, we are communicating online. 1 AM, we're still talking about Marco. 4 AM, he's sending me email, and I said to him, Fritz, just a little story about one young man, about his age, and unfortunately, very dynamic, active, but dropped dead because of heart attack. I said, Fritz, I don't want you to have an heart attack in my home. And I challenged him that none of your staff must be admitted to the hospital, because the energy that we needed to get Marco to the next level was so tremendous that 6, 7 AM in the morning, he's already in Marco. Meetings, when I have meetings with him, he's bright and early between 7 and 8, so I can enjoy about doing my other things for the day. I want you to stand up and give this man a round of applause. Mount Hope as an organization, we could not even afford his salary because we had to do this private practice and give it his all. Great. I say thank you. We've been in partnership, we fought the battle, and now it's time to celebrate. Congratulations. Now the second thing, we have murals here.
Oh yeah, project ready.
The murals, can I have it? And nobody will take over from me concerning these seniors. Mount Hope is in partnership with Letters to Our Mothers, and it's a group of youth that did all these painting, but more will be able to talk more about it. There is a website by which you can purchase and see what they've done and what they've contributed to our community. Thank you. Bob?
Yeah. Oh, she's coming up on the other side. Her name is Estelle Fonseca.
Yes, Estelle Fonseca.
Estelle Fonseca.
So, Estelle.
And if people are interested in board membership, can they see me?
We're going to wrap up very soon, so you can go back. We wanted to explain what this is. Well, every single one of our sponsors who, because this wasn't free, this event, we have many people who helped to sponsor this event, and so this is going to be our token of appreciation. It's a framed picture. This picture was done by our Career Readiness High School youngsters. It is literally a mural that now stands on 175th Street, right on the next block, on the Mount Hope Community Center side of 175th Street and Jerome Avenue, was done by hand by the high school kids in the Career Readiness Program. This is an homage to universal motherhood. And these faces represent the actual faces of the mothers of the children who are in our program. So reach out. We have order rooms. You don't have to, at this moment, put up any cash. A minimum of donation of $25 would help a child to not be stuck home alone all day while mother is working, but rather be with a healthy, structured environment. So please, help us help the child and help Mount Hope children receive education, receive recreation, and receive culture. And more than anything, help them grow, help them thrive, help them develop into the adults and not be stuck behind stereotypes, not be stuck behind low grades, not be stuck behind what people expect our children not to accomplish. Support our children. Support our mothers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give her a big round of applause. Estelle Fonseca, Vice President of Youth Services and Project Ready. The murals are right over here. Make sure you come over and check those out. But I'll take 2 more minutes of your time, and then I'll take a commercial break, and then you can check me out tonight right after the Quiet Storm with Lenny Green, right? 107.5. If people are interested in board membership, please see Dawn Rowe. Dawn Rowe is right here. If you're interested in board membership with Mount Hope Housing Company. But I would like to thank, personally, Fritz Jean. Give him another big round of applause for putting together a TV law. They put together a wonderful breakfast for the Mount Hope Housing Company, the 8th annual legislative breakfast. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Whenever you guys need me, just give me a call or just a phone call away. Alrighty, and for some closing remarks, did I get everything? All right, that about does it. We started from the bottom, now we're here. About that time to go. Always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. To choose your choice and let the choice control the chooser. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from all of us here, Mount Hope Housing Company, and all the sponsors and all the wonderful people, the volunteers who put all this together. Oh, and you gotta check it out. This is gonna be all edited up and put on Channel 67's BRONXNET. So you can check this out again. Get home safe, have a great day, I love you.